We're just excited to be back on Pronto, talking to all of you and featuring some amazing people. But before we get into that, how have things been? What is new? What is anything coming up?
Well, I'm going to graduate with the associate's degree in May.
Congratulations.
I think I mentioned that before, but my classes this semester is email marketing and social media marketing. And it's really interesting to see the different YouTube and
that's exciting.
Yeah.
So you're learning so much about social media and how it's evolving.
Yep.
And you have to keep up, right?
Yeah.
Because it's sometimes it's stressful, right? I don't know. For me, it's very stressful to keep up with the ever-changing social media and all the platforms that are available to you. But it's important to stay informed.
Yep.
So that's good that you're constantly learning about it, because in business, it's important.
Yeah, because I got some really great tips. Like, we used to send new clients a letter, email, and thanking them for coming in the salon, and they suggest that it's a video.
Excellent.
And we never thought of that.
And
we're planning on doing it.
Wow. Well, so look at that for you. Always evolving.
Yeah.
And even Curry Hair, Skin and Nails is evolving with it. But that's good, because thanks to you. So speaking of Curry Hair, Skin and Nails, I love doing this. So when I'm asked to do this, it's my pleasure, because I have to try the product. So this is a product highlight. We are featuring Carello Nourishing Hair Mask, a nourishing olive oil mask to deeply moisturize hair, and infused with olive oil and lavender, my two favorite ingredients. And it's full of antioxidants, including vitamin E. And it is available at all Curry Hair, Skin and Nails locations, as well as online. And I can speak from personal experience that this is one of my favorite hair masks. I've been using this for, I want to say, a year now. I've been using this hair mask for a year. I don't use it every single time I wash my hair.
You shouldn't.
Nope. I use it maybe like once every couple of weeks, especially when my hair feels really dehydrated.
Right.
And it's important to pay attention to that. And that's my biggest piece of advice I can give you. And this is not just for female hair, but also men too, right? The men can use this as well for their hair. It's very hydrating, but it's not overly hydrating. And that's what I want to make note, is that it's not to the point where your hair is oily, right? Like the next day. And that's what I appreciate about this particular mask, is that it just gives your hair the right amount of hydration it needs while leaving it shiny and hydrated. And I think that's what's important about it. And that's what's great about this particular hair mask. So I've been using it for over a year now, and I do love how hydrating it is, but not overly hydrating. It smells really nice, but it's not like a potpourri smell. Even though it has that lavender, it's very gentle. Right. It's a clean and gentle smell, which I think is really great about it. But even the texture, it's not very thin. It's not like a rock. It's just a nice texture where it goes very, how would I say it goes smoothly on your hair. And it just evenly distributes throughout your hair. And I really appreciate that, because I've tried some nourishing masks or just hair masks before where it's too liquidy, too conditioned, or maybe it's some diluted, who knows? But I just know that the texture is even real nice.
It's similar to a skincare product for your hair.
Exactly. That's actually a great way to describe it. How long have you had this product out for everyone? Because I've been using it for a year now.
Probably like 4 years.
4 years now. Yeah. Excellent. Is it a pop? I mean, to me, it's popular, but how do people respond to
popular, it? Especially this location, DuPont, we have steam bowls, and, you put the mask on, and you put a plastic bag over your hair, and the steam really, sends it deep into your hair. Everybody loves it.
Well, I don't have one of those at home, but I use the shower steam, and that still does the job. So what I do, and I know that they do give the instructions on the back as a suggestion. What I normally do is I leave it in my hair for about 10 minutes, and I massage it and my scalp, and then I rinse really well. And I've been very happy with the results. So I highly recommend that you check out this product. It's a great product to have. Along with all your other hair products. And it lasts. It really does last. It's offered at all Curry Hair, Skin and Nail locations, but also online. Great product.
Thank you.
Speaking of products, we need to talk, Randy. I went So this is Carello by Curry. I know this is an additional product highlight, but I have to mention this. So this is the Italian Kiss. My favorite. All right. This is my favorite. This is my ultimate favorite product.
I love giving them away.
Okay. Well, let me tell you, I went to go grab my Italian Kiss hydrating lip balm, because what I do is I put my lip liner on, then I go to my hydrating lip balm, and then I put my lipstick. So I have like a whole process, and it lasts all day. So I haven't touched up my lips all day, and I've been up since like 5 a.m. this morning. I went to go put it on, and look.
Oh, done.
Done. Finito.
Yeah. We'll make sure you get a new one today.
Finito. I was so disappointed. I was like, no. Oh, this is another great product. This one's my ultimate favorite one by Carello, the Italian Kiss Hydrating Lip Balm. What I love most about it, not only is it hydrating, but it pairs well with your lipstick, if that makes sense. So it doesn't roll both, like my lip liner and my lipstick. I combine all three. So lip liner, this lip balm, and lipstick, I combine all three, and it just hydrates my lips. My lipstick stays on all day without a touch up. I mean, I actually had lunch and had a cup of coffee, and I still haven't touched up my lips yet. So that's how good this stuff is.
It's a big seller for us.
Oh yeah. Well, I have to restock. But anyway, what else is going on? Because I know you guys have a big event coming up. Let's talk about that.
Hotel DuPont is hosting a bridal event. And we're involved, and we have set up a room with all things bridal. Cheers to love, and
love it.
We can't wait. In fact, Molly, Miss
Delaware Teen USA, Molly Lavelle
is going to model for us, so we're really happy about that.
I'm excited about it. She was thrilled when she received the invitation to make an appearance at this event at Hotel DuPont, which will be on March 3rd. Not the picture that we're showing right now, but that's just a picture of Molly Lavelle, Miss Delaware Teen USA. And then there's the beautiful Noah Mills, Miss Delaware USA. But Cheers to Love is an event that's happening at Hotel DuPont on March 3rd. And obviously Curry Hair, Skin, and Nails will be there doing their thing and doing what they do best, talking about beauty. But more so just sharing resources and vendors. And, it's predominantly revolved around the luxury wedding event. And I love that. And that's what's, so special about it. But if you haven't had a chance to check out Hotel DuPont, you definitely should. It's iconic. It is considered to be a legendary location in Wilmington, Delaware. So that's the northern part of Delaware for those viewers and listeners that are tuning in and may not know where Hotel DuPont is located in Delaware. It's in Wilmington, Delaware, the most northern part of Delaware. And Hotel DuPont is considered to be iconic. It's been around for so many decades, but it is one of the staples in Wilmington. I really, really love the history behind Hotel DuPont and its beautiful venue, the iconic grand ballroom, the Dewberry room, which is one of my favorite rooms. It just has such a story, and it's rich in history. But Curry Hair, Skin, and Nails will be obviously a part of this huge event. And Miss Delaware Teen USA, Molly Lavelle, will be making an appearance with the Curry Hair, Skin, and Nails. So thank you for the invitation to my title holders. They're really excited to be a part of it.
It's like not a typical bridal show.
Oh yeah.
Like it's really upscale and lots of takeaways and
March 3rd. That's coming up. Now that I think about it, February, we're at the end of February. Yeah, it's coming.
Weekend.
Yes, it's coming up quickly. So make sure you check your calendars and make it happen, because it's coming up very quickly. I can't believe March is here already. Oh. I keep thinking about, we're still, in February, but March is here and it's right around the corner. Speaking of what's right around the corner, you know what I have coming up?
Oh, man. I've been seeing it all over.
You had a little glimpse of my flyer. The Miss Delaware USA and the Miss Delaware Teen USA 2024 pageant is coming up on April 28th. We are still accepting applications. So join the sisterhood. If you're interested in applying to join the experience and the sisterhood, you can visit MissDelawareUSA.com. Again, applications will be open until the end of March, but we will be closing them early. The pageant is April 28th, so we will be closing registration earlier than that. So make sure you get your application in. If you know anybody that's interested in joining the sisterhood, share the experience with them, share this flyer with them, let them know. We are looking for incredible leaders, women in the community, but a chance to really just come together and make an impact on your community. And that's what it's all about. Yes, it's about building self-confidence and self-esteem, making friends, but also making an impact within your community and speaking what you're most passionate about. And this, this experience gives you a platform to do that, to do so. So really excited to offer this opportunity throughout the state of Delaware. But if you're interested in sponsoring, we are also looking for sponsorships. You can visit MissDelawareUSA.com if you're interested in sponsoring the event, the organization, or even the title holders and the contestants. We're open to all suggestions, ideas. So if you're interested, definitely contact us for that making that create incredible partnership. Always looking for sponsors, but I have to make note, Curry Hair, Skin and Nails.
I was just going to say that.
Oh, wait. Yes,
it was
thank you.
Really great experience for us. Like these women are incredible. Like they're super women, right?
Yeah, they are. They really are. They're dynamic, talented, smart. Yes, beautiful. But I mean, just fascinated with their stories and what you can learn from them, but also what they're doing in their community. I mean, that's what's best about, that's the best part about it, is that all the great women we get to meet and that come together. I mean, Delaware is a force to be reckoned with. I mean, we have some dynamic women in this state. And I'm so honored to have the ability to produce this annual event where I can bring all of these incredible women together to shine. And that's what it's all about. And I do appreciate your support, Randy. Curry Hair, Skin and Nails is a sponsor. Last year, they were able to sponsor little gifts to all of the contestants. Yes, the winners, Miss Delaware USA, Noah Mills, and Miss Delaware Teen USA, Molly Lavelle, got to take advantage of all of the incredible sponsorship that Curry Hair, Skin and Nails was able to provide them, but also the contestants. You were able to gift all of the contestants something to take home with, to take with them. And I thought that was really impactful. So thank you and to your team for that.
Pleasure.
For that donation and that support. That's what it's all about. Well, I mean, listen, with everything we have going on, I mean, we could talk for hours about what we have going on, but more importantly, let's talk about why we're here and who we are featuring. So our next guest, which I am so thrilled to talk to you about, we are excited to welcome our guest today, businessman, author, and coach, Sherm Porter. Descended from a lineage of Navy stalwarts, Sherm Porter embodies the essence of leadership, tenacity, and unparalleled work ethic. After an honorable discharge from the U.S. Navy, Sherm's entrepreneurial prowess led him to establish and helm multiple successful ventures: a commercial cleaning enterprise in 1998, a real estate investment firm in 1999, a catering business in 2008, and in 2020, a coaching and consulting firm for small businesses. But Sherm's legacy isn't just about business. His heart beats for the community, a trait he attributes to his grandfather's wisdom. You must serve the community that sustains you, which is powerful. Yeah. True to this, Sherm has been a beacon of hope at the Sunday Breakfast Mission since 2010, dedicating his time every Thanksgiving Eve and morning to serve over 800 people. Through his catering company, Sherm's Catering, he has championed numerous charitable causes, from the Big Brother, Big Sisters of Delaware, Autism of Delaware, Down Syndrome of Delaware, Cigar for Warriors, 6 college scholarships presented by E2 Cigar and Sports Bar, sponsoring the Miss Delaware USA and Miss Delaware Teen USA pageant. Love you for that, Sherm. And numerous beef and beer benefits to various community galas. Sherm does it all. Please welcome the awesomeness, Sherm, and Sherm Porter, which I call Sherm. How are you, Sherm?
I'm great, guys. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm honored. It's kind of surreal to hear you guys describe me. You know what I mean? Like, listen to that. And then I was reading it as you guys were doing your thing, and I'm like, wow, that's really me. I'm like,
that's
it's really crazy. Yeah.
Well, you earned that. You earned that, Sherm. And I am proud to say that to you, because you put in the time, and you continue to put in the time to earn that opening introduction, because you've worked so hard for so many years and you continue to put the work in.
Yeah.
And that's what I respect about you. And for those of you who don't know, I obviously have a friendship with Sherm, because he is an incredible supporter of the Miss Delaware USA and Miss Delaware Teen USA pageant. But we've been friends for years. And I was telling Randy off camera how we met, and it was, just going back, he's just such a great overall person, but community leader. I have to say, Randy, a community leader, he's always giving back and always setting the example in the community. And that's something that I admire most about Sherm. So Sherm, let's dive into a couple of things. So your journey to entrepreneurship started at the age of 10 in your parents' garage, repairing bicycles, which, by the way, I did not know. I did not know that. So could you tell us about how that journey started and what led you to owning and operating so many successful businesses?
So it all started as my father told me that he was not going to pay for me to be a BMX uh, sports person. So I got into BMX bike racing, and he's like, "You're going to have to support your own habit." And I was like, so I just started fixing the neighborhood kids' bikes. I would flat tires, pedals, brakes, stuff like that, just because you had to pay for entry each week for the races. And it was only like, I don't remember, it's like $20, $30. But I stopped. My dad was a college athlete and played baseball, and I did that for a while, and then decided that wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I liked the bikes and BMX. So that's kind of how it all started. It was like, he told me no, and I'm like, no, I'm going to figure out a way how to gain. And he said, as long as I paid for it, he would take me there. So it was like a dual kind of prideful, I have the money, now you have to take me kind of thing each week to my BMX races down off of 72, or 71, which is funny, years later. But before that, I was slinging newspapers in Newport when I was 8. So it really started at 8. I probably forgot to put that in there, but it was, again, I just, I wanted something. He said no, and we needed a paper delivery person, and I would take my wagon and start slinging papers, and then my parents would come around and help me collect from all the because back then the paper boys and paper girls collected. There was no paying the office. You had to go around with little envelopes, and you leave them on the door, and they would put cash or a check in there, and you had to hunt people down. So it was my first sales, delivery, and accounts receivable experience. An 8-year-old screaming at an adult like, "You owe me $18." Like, I don't understand why you're not paying me. So yeah, it was.
Well, I'm sure that taught you very well, and that set you up for success later on in life, because to be able to set that foundation at such an early age, and that's not an easy job. I mean, I could see that, for a young kid, that being difficult, but you figured it out. And I'm sure that it taught you and set you up for the next, hurdle or, whatever chapter that was in your life. Oh, here's a great question. I knew someone. Okay. Cause I know. Okay. Wait, I got to tell a story before we add it. So we have a question. Let me say the question, and then I got to share, and then you're going to answer.
It only takes a second for that question to come up. Only a second.
I know. So how the name Sherm come about? So listen, real quick story before he answers this one, Randy, because it's so funny. I've known Sherm for years. Sherm, long time, right? Maybe like over a decade, maybe longer than that. I've lost track, but I've known Sherm for a long time, and our families are close, and I never knew that Sherm wasn't his real name. Okay. So he came to the restaurant one time at the V&M Bistro, and he dined, and he left his credit card. And he had just walked out, and I went to grab his checkbook, and I saw that he left his credit card, and I was like, "Oh, Sherm left his card." But I looked at the card, and it didn't say Sherm, and I was like, "Wait a second, Sherm, what's your name?" So Sherm, please tell us the story about your name.
All right, so I'm going to give you the really short version because we only have so much time. But I worked at Cynthia's. So I started in the culinary business, and I was at Alex's. Then I went to Cynthia's, and I was only 19 years old. So I was really young, and most of the chefs and maitre d's and they were much older. And I used to ask a ton of questions because my parents, we never went to fine dining restaurants. We went to the local restaurants you would go to, but nothing ever fine dining. So I asked 1,000 questions all the time. So I was in the kitchen one night, and the maitre d' and the head chef were partaking in the evening's beverages as normal, and all of a sudden they started calling me Sherman. And so my given name is Michael for everyone out there listening to this. So Michael, in my age group, there's probably 15 in every class. You have Michael, John, Mark, just because of our age group, it was a lot of Catholic names. And Michael was one of them. That there was probably at least 5 in every class. So I was always a character, and I always had some type of nickname. So they started calling me Sherman, and I had literally no idea, but I was making so much money as a server there that I could care less what they called me.
Yeah.
And I just kept going in and out. Well, about a month into this, one of the servers came down and said, "Hey, do you know why they're calling you Sherman?" And I said the same thing. I'm like, I don't care. I was like, as long as they don't fire me, they can call me whatever they want to call me. As long as the order's coming in and out and I'm making the money I'm making, I don't care. He goes, "It's Sherman from Sherman and Peabody." And I was like, huh? And I was like, wait a minute. Isn't that the cartoon with the dog? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, who's Sherman? Because I had known the cartoon, but I didn't really know. It was like just like outside of my reach as a cartoon that I watched. And he's like, well, Sherman's the kid. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, as long as I'm not the dog, I'm okay with that. But then obviously reading later on, the dog is the professor and the kid, but that's how because I was asking a lot of questions and it just stuck. And then it went from Sherman, and then they gave me all kinds of other things. And then it just shortened down to Sherm. And that's kind of what I stuck with. So a follow-up funny story is when I applied to be a state police officer coming out of the Navy, because I had 4 friends that were doing it, and they're like, hey, let's all go to the same class together. I had to put Sherm down as an alias, because there were 4 Superior Court judges from Cynthia's that only knew me as Sherm, as Vincenzo would tell you. They never knew my real name was Michael. And the other funny story is my mom called in one time asking for Michael, and the host is like, there's no Michael that works here. So now you have to remember, I worked at Cynthia's in 1992. There were no cell phones, only pagers. So when I got home, the wrath that I got, what do you mean you work at Cynthia's? I called there. They didn't say, there's no Michael that works there. I'm like, Mom, how many times do I have to tell you? They call me Sherm there. She goes, I don't know what the hell that is, but I'm not calling you Sherm. So it was just funny. It was
right.
Yeah,
And I had no idea, but it was so funny because we're so close to Sherm and his family and just my entire family. And we had no idea until he told me the story. And I said, well, Sherm, it's who you are, because he has his catering business. It's called Sherm's Catering.
Right.
And it's a part of his brand and who he is. And he's known to, as Sherm to everyone, as you could see. Yep. Sherm's Catering.
I love it.
And
Sherm.
that's what he's known as. And yes, your family and your very close friends call you Michael, which I do hear. And I always am like, wait a second.
Who are they talking about?
I'm like, who are you talking to? This is Sherm. But anyway, everyone always asks. So I think it's so funny that one of our listeners asked that question. But going back to what you've done for the community, it's clear as day that you have a heart to serve your community and help those around you. So tell us what philanthropy means to you, and why you've made it such a huge part of your life.
So my grandfather, getting back to the introduction, my grandfather really, he gave a lot to the church and his community. And I'd always ask why. I was young, I didn't understand. I'm like, why do you, do so much? And he was like, because this is the community gave me so much. And as much as I'm not as religious as he was, I got it though. You know what I mean? Like as the community and helping out, and why we do, because the more we help each other, the better the community is, and it doesn't have to be grand. You don't have to make grand gestures. It's just little things here and there, like the new thing, like pay it forward, where you're in a store and you buy somebody's drink in front of you. Like, just try to make it a little bit nicer every day for the people that are around you. And you don't have to know the people, just help them. And most of my philanthropy, to be absolutely honest, if you run down these lists, were not my idea. I had really good friends that had a very deep passion for the Big Brothers and Big Sisters, for Autism Delaware, for Down syndrome, like all that. Like, it was just, they came to me, and then I saw what they were doing, and I said, okay, let me help. And so there weren't my grand gestures to help them. It was, I saw what was going on, and I said, this is pretty cool what you're doing. How can I help? Like
Mhm.
I don't know, I don't know most of this, but how can I help in my way?
Yeah.
And, most of the time it was a beef and beer. When I was at Christiana Memorial Hall, we probably did 40 beef and beers a year for
Right.
all
Every time.
kinds of different charities,
Mhm.
and that was my way to help out. It was a very discounted rate. You could get in, you could raise a lot of money for, your significant other that was going through something, or your charity that near and dear to your heart. And then through the time, that's how I got involved with autism in Delaware, where um, Easter Seals asked me to do some things for some students they had and some of their clients. And then it led into Christina School District and interning students from there. And then Autism Delaware asked me to help. And then that's how we got, the employee we have now, that Vincent and I used to have a really good friend that was one of the caseworkers. Like, so that's, it kind of all had together. So,
Mhm.
we've had employees that have some type of disability for over 10 years at Sherm's Catering, where
Yeah.
we find ways to employ, you know, um, the people from certain organizations that have the skills to do it, but they may be, they're in a box of skills, and you have to help them in that box of skills. And my head chef, his brother has Down, so it all worked. I mean, I guess sometimes things just work out the way they do, where
Right.
we all understood. I mean, it wasn't a huge learning curve; it was just a small learning curve because we all understood the situation. I mean, my head chef's brother works there part time every weekend, and that's how that happened. Because once we did one, and I'm like, well, why don't he? Well, he needs to work too and make money, so let's let
Yeah.
him come in. So it was like, yeah, it's always a story, and it's always like it was someone else's idea that I took and said, okay, how
Yeah.
can I help?
Right.
That's all
And
I
you
want to do
do.
is help.
And
Yeah.
you do
Yeah.
continue to help. And I can attest to this because knowing Sherm for as long as I have, I see how he interacts with the community and how he supports multiple nonprofit organizations. And that was another reason why I had partnered up with Sherm when I became the executive state director for Miss Delaware USA, Miss Delaware Teen USA. And I asked Sherm, would you be interested in helping and supporting an organization that empowers women? Because I know that you already have a generous heart, you already give back. And while again, I've never been upset if he said he couldn't at this time, which I do understand, but he always is like, what do you need? What can I do to help? And that's the same response he gives. I mean, obviously we have a friendship, but he gives that response to anyone that asks, hey, what can I do to help?
I think that's a trait of a lot of successful people.
Mm-hmm.
I have a son with Down syndrome, so I thank you for your support.
Yeah, no, and we appreciate it, Sherm, that you continue to help those with disabilities in your workplace because we all know that it can be challenging for individuals that may learn differently, and you take the time to train them and teach them a skill set, especially at your catering business. That those are skills that they can apply in their everyday life, learning how to cook, but also being able to prepare a meal, prepare food for an event. Those are skills that they could take with them in their everyday life. And you're able to teach them these skills, and your staff is able to work with them, and they're learning not only just how to cook, we could say, but also how to interact with
Right.
others and how to
Communication.
teamwork, communication. And it takes, it may take time, but Sherm does that at his workplace
Yeah.
with all of his employees. I know this because we have a mutual friend that she's no longer with us now, but we had a mutual friend. She had passed away last year, but she was in charge of Autism Delaware, or she was one of the leaders. She had held a leadership position at Autism Delaware, and she. Again, she was another connection
Yeah.
that we had with Autism Delaware, Sherm and I, but also her. And she would tell me what Sherm's employees and Sherm would do for these individuals, these participants, I believe they would call them, participants that were part of Autism Delaware, to help them find work, meaningful employment, and learn skills in a way that they felt valued. And that's priceless. It really is priceless. So, Sherm, I know that you do so much, and I know that
I
you're
want to just like kind of jump in real quick. I
oh
know
yes,
I'm
please.
sorry, I don't know me, but I want to give a plug for this.
Okay.
Because here's the thing. I didn't know about this until I knew about this. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, I didn't know this was available. The every future employee coming from the programs. And there's multiple programs in the state of Delaware that do this, not just Autism Delaware. There's Thrive, and there's Power, and there's multiple ones. I can't remember. When you push me like this, I'll forget all the things, the wheel and the cart slows down kind of thing in the head. But there's multiple organizations that are looking for employers for everyday tasks. You know what I mean? Like, it may just be scanning documents. It may be just helping take the trash out. And they'll come with a social, I hate to use the word, so it's an employment coach. Okay. I hate using the word social worker. It's not a social worker. It's an employment coach that comes and helps them.
It essentially is a coach.
Right. And they get acclimated, and they stay there until you're comfortable and the new employee's comfortable. And that could be 3 weeks. That could be 6 months. It could be a year. You know what I mean? But they'll keep them there, and they'll help them get acclimated, and they'll help you like learn the language to teach them the skills so they can do it on their, because everyone evolves in a different level of learning. So you have to help them, and they know them best to help them get you there. So I just want to plug that, because we did mention this, and I they're always looking for more employers. And because there's 3 of us here that are employers, I just want to, and there's probably other people that are watching this that are, please, if you have some skills that are repetitive, or what other people don't like to do, I promise these are probably the best people you'll ever hire for those type of tasks, because they love the repetitive tasks. They love the thing that they have to keep doing versus something new every day. They don't like new environments. They don't like things to change. They want something that's the same task every single time. So again.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad you highlighted that. There's so many different nonprofit organizations throughout the state of Delaware that offer that, that support. And then I learned about it because Sherm introduced me to this program. I didn't know. And again, this is giving back to the community and learning. But one thing about Sherm that I have to make note of, and is that you're always learning something new. And I think it's only, I guess it would only make sense that you have a book about, teaching your teachings. And I think that's what, if anybody that knows Sherm knows that he's a great storyteller, but he also has so much knowledge and wisdom to give. And that leads me to his book. I own a copy of it, Destination Success, 8 Mindset Hacks for Every Entrepreneur by Sherm Porter. I know, right? I got to put M in there, Sherm. But I have this book, and it is signed by Sherm, by the way, just so you know. I have his autograph because that was the first thing I did when I got the book. I made sure I placed that order. I think you can order it on Amazon, right, Sherm?
You can. You absolutely can.
Yep, you can order it on Amazon. And as soon as I placed that order, I told Sherm, you got to sign it. I want an autograph, and but
absolutely.
it's a great book.
I have a question, Sherm.
Okay.
Where do you find the time?
So here's the thing. You're talking about learning, and when you and I started, you started probably before I did. There really wasn't a whole lot there wasn't this out here. We couldn't create a podcast and help people. We couldn't get on YouTube or Google and search entrepreneur and how do we find money? How do we do networking? How do we do marketing, social media? Like, none of that was really out there. So when you asked the question, the people that had the gold bar that were doing business, they didn't like to talk about it, because it was like a rite of passage that they owned the business, and they had been in business for so long, and they went through the same struggles that we were going through. And I used to sit down there, and I was looking and looking and looking. And then once the internet started, I started looking for places where I could surround myself with people that thought like me, that were acting like me, that wanted same and similar things like me, because there's not a lot of people like that around. Yes, Delaware is a small community, and there's a lot of small businesses in Delaware, probably more than most places because of what we do here in Delaware. But still, like, I wanted to surround, and I wanted to learn, like, how do I learn better? It's not that you don't know what you're supposed to be doing, but there's a time and a place when you hear it, and you hear it the right way. And that's going to be around a whole group of people that are with a consistent message. And, Becky, we're still waiting for book 2.
Yeah. All right, now to put you on the spot, Sherm.
Yeah, I know.
Becky.
So I joined this group out in Texas, and he's a national and international business networking, And I was telling stories to a bunch of his salespeople in Texas at one of the seminars, and they started like, hey, we have to write books because you have to write a book to help advertise that you're, going to be coaching, that you're going to be helping people. And the best way to do it is write a book. And I went, oh man, I was like, if there's anything that I'm horrible at, it's writing, grammar, writing, spelling, all that kind of, I'm like, serious? And he go, yup. And you have until next February to do it. Now, this was in the midst of the pandemic. So amongst, the 14-hour days with PPP and everything with the state opening and closing because we're a catering company, I found time to write a book.
You made use of your time, right?
Well, what had happened, we started a podcast. A friend of mine and I, so we started just like talking about business, like to kind of off, the stress of the day of trying to make sure that we're keeping our business up and running. And we started just like, hey, and we'd have questions, and friends would ask me questions, and we would do it on the podcast. And then we started searching like Entrepreneur and other magazines, and they would have articles, and we would start writing. And next thing you know, I was sitting at the cigar lounge one night where we do solve all the world's problems at the cigar lounge. I promise you that. And there's an eclectic group of people there. It's not all one side. And we can solve. If everybody sat down in the cigar lounge, locked the doors, lit up, started drinking scotch, and started smoking cigars, all the problems would be solved.
And all is welcome, by the way. There are
everyone's welcome.
Women there. Yes.
Women, it doesn't matter, everything.
Yeah, if you don't mind the smell of cigars, it really is a great way to connect and network. You're right.
I can't see you.
No.
No.
I've been there. I walk by Sherm. I can usually see
She
Sherm.
walks by and everybody's like, is that Vincenzo? And I'm like, yeah. How do you know her? Don't worry about that. Let's just come and give it a
Sherm. And then I keep walking. But yeah, no, you're right. You're right, Sherm. You make a really good point about that environment too, that, you could solve so much. But going back to your podcast.
Yeah, right. So it all led to like, I was like, I'm already doing it. Like I'm speaking the book. So then I just took my podcast. We had 14 episodes, and I took the episodes that I like. I gave them to Rev. I let Rev dictate them back into words, and then I took it and I sent it to a person that helps write, and I forget her technical title, but she helps book writers write. So she fixed some things, and I added my personal stuff, and we went back and forth. And the next thing you know, I had a book, and I was like, I can't believe I just did this. Like, oh my goodness. So I was only 1 week short or longer than my deadline. I was supposed to have it published by February, I think 1st, and I think it published on the 8th or 9th. But I was very proud of myself and it's an easy to read book. It's 100 pages. I have, like, if you go through each chapter, I have like just little spots for you to like take notes. You know what I mean? Like it's I speak and I write the same way. This isn't, high level vocabulary. This is just me telling you, hey, look, if you want to do this, it just takes a little persistence. You have to, listen to no one but yourself and let everything else, like, just let it go numb until you get to a certain point. And if you need help, we're all here to help you. The problem is most people are so intimidated by talking to someone like us that has multiple years in businesses or multiple businesses. They're scared to ask us as if we're going to tell them no. But the answer, and I guarantee if I asked either one of you, the answer is, you know what? I'd rather help you not have the problems I had and help you get through it versus watching you suffer. Because I didn't like it when I had to do it. Like, I didn't like it when I got ran over or punched in the face or whatever else happened, figuratively in the situation. Like, why would I want to watch you do that? And I would sit there in the cigar lounge and listen to my friends that own businesses, and I'm like, dude, why are you constantly putting yourself in that same situation? Here's your answer. Here's your fix. Like, you should write a book. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And then, it did. But that was like the whole, getting up to it part was like, we're here to help each other. Like, just ask. I sat in front of a guy that lent money for small business for almost 2 years. And you know whose fault it was that I didn't ask him what he did? Mine. I sat literally across the chair from him, smoking and drinking, and I never asked him what he did. And as soon as I asked him, he solved my problem in 6 months. because I needed to buy out my partners and my silent investors. You know how that is. You start to grow and you need money. The bank says no, so you find stupid friends that say yes, and now they don't want to be investors anymore. So now you have to go back to the bank, and and I'm like,
What?
I
What
can't believe you're sitting there the whole time, like but that's what happens. You know what I mean? Like if you don't answer the right questions.
What advice would you give a young person opening a business? Like number one advice.
The first piece of advice is put your 5-part harness on, because it's going to be a ride. You know what I mean? And know that the brand new shiny car that you just bought is it's gonna look like you were in the derby at the end of it. Like, because you're gonna take a lot of dents and things. You're gonna get sideswiped, you're gonna get jackknifed. But as long as you have your helmet on and your 5-point harness, you're holding on that steering wheel, you're gonna keep going. You know what I mean? Like that, and that's what it is. Like, it's a good description. I've never used that description, but it's a good description.
It's a great description.
That like, things are gonna come at you 1,000 miles an hour, and it's okay. Like, it'll be okay. Take a deep breath and understand. I listen to a lot of podcasts and things like that on YouTube, because the biggest hurdle that most of us, and me specifically, is the biggest hurdle is the 6 inches between these two things right here. Because you tell yourself you can't do it. You tell yourself that whatever they said was right. And 9 times out of 10, it's not. It's your mind, which is unfortunately programmed to save you from hardship, save you from pain. And really all it is you just have to go a little bit further and the pain will be over, because it's an experience that you have to go through to get through. And most people don't understand that. Like, it's, oh my God, this is really hard. Yeah, if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it. Who would have a job? You know what I mean? Like, it's really hard. I tell everybody all the time, I'm like, if you're not ready to get punched in the face and thrown out of a 2-story building, this is probably not for you. It's not for the faint of heart. Like, there's a lot of things.
And again, you're figuratively speaking.
Yeah,
but,
figuratively speaking.
But that's what I love most about Sherm's advice, because I, as a small business owner and even as a female in a male dominant industry, I actually go to Sherm for advice often, because I know that he'll be honest with me. And sometimes you need to hear that honesty from I may not like it, but I need that honesty. And I know that I could trust his advice and his, obviously support, more importantly, the support that you give, me in the restaurant industry, it's,
Sure.
I appreciate that and I value that tremendously. But, there are times that, I need advice and I don't know it all. I mean, all of us,
I don't know it all.
Right.
I don't know it all, but I know what I learned. And I know that 90% of what I learned will help you, because you're going to go through it. Like, what I went through, you're going to go through. And, I was stubborn. I mean, you talk about my father and the less he learned about me being persistent, and he taught me being stubborn. And sometimes stubborn isn't always persistent. And you have to understand that. Like, I would go to the mountain on purpose just to tell somebody else they were wrong, even though I knew they were probably right. And I would try to make it work. And I made it work. I'm telling you, I made it work, even though it was the wrong way to do things. And because I was stubborn. And I tell people, look, me helping Vincenza there's no positive or negative. The positive is she's a friend. And I would never want her to fail. So the advice I'm going to give is, here's how I see it. And that's the advice I give. I never tell you, you have to do this way. But I say, well, here, did you think about this? Did you think about this? And did you think about this? Because only you know you and your situation the best. I'm just saying, from an outsider looking in, that I don't have any feelings. I have zero invested in it. But if I were to do this, here's how I see it. Because all businesses run the same. I don't care if you're walking dogs or you're a catering company or you're out there laying brick. Running a business is all the same. Now, the instruments you use to make money is different, and everybody understands that. Whether you're doing hair or you're running a restaurant, you're running a catering company, like, those are the minute details that make you good or bad. But the business part is all the same. You need money. You have to pay the bills. You have to pay the employees. You have to file your taxes. You have all that kind of stuff. That's all the same. And that's the things that we don't know. you're a great hairstylist. Well, you probably didn't know anything about payroll or accounting or anything. So
funny story. I opened a salon when I was 22 years old, and I was cutting some guy's hair 2 years after opening, and he said, "Who's your workman compensation with?" And I said, "What's that?"
right.
I didn't know. Right.
Right.
So I think it's important to have a will, and you'll find a way. Right.
Right. Well, I agree with that 100%. Like I always tell people, jump off first, make the parachute as you're landing.
Yeah.
Like, because the hardest part is taking that first step.
Yes, it is. Very
You know
true.
what I mean? Like, because you're
Scary.
gonna second guess yourself
Mhm.
1,000 times before you take that first step.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And the hardest part is taking that first step. So if you're willing to take that step, take it. And then you're gonna learn all the way down all the things
Right.
that you didn't know, because it comes quick.
Yes.
Like fortunately for you, 2 years happened and the things didn't happen. I opened up the catering company. We had the county, and I had taken on another partner and said, "Hey, we got to do this all C Corp way." And I said, "Okay." And we had a huge insurance policy. And unfortunately, one of our employees got very, very hurt. They had third-degree burns on 40% of their body because they slipped on some hot oil. But we were taken care of because he said, and like I said, you learn from every interaction. And that was my interaction. Like, look, you can't play around. You're not a small company anymore. You're working for the state. You're working for the county. I don't know how it fell through the crack, but it did. And he was like, "No, we're serious. If you want me part, we're serious. This is going to be a serious business. No more mom and pop stuff." And you're always in every situation, whether it's good or bad, whether you meet the people good or bad, you learn from every situation something. Right. And you should look to take away something, even if it was a bad situation that you left and you go, "Okay, so here's what I learned from that. I learned that if we do this, we get that, and I don't want that. So now I know, don't do this because I don't want that. So we won't do that again." You know what I mean? Like, that's the biggest thing,
and just to kind of interject, because you brought up something that I wanted to make note of this. And I know that I'm looking at the time and I'm like, wow, we're really getting through this interview,
I'm sorry.
oh no, this is great. This is valuable information, Sherm, that you're sharing with our viewers and listeners, that, just kind of gives them a little glimpse of what you offer, what support you offer. Obviously, your book is all of your knowledge put on that piece of paper, but also your ways that they can contact you and even just hire you as a consultant, maybe, a business consultant. But I have to, I wanted to read this passage from your book because you mentioned first steps. And I really, this resonated with me. Okay. So just a little taste I like to give, from his book. When developing and implementing a system in your business, the first step is to evaluate the current procedures you have in place. If you are just starting a business or only have an idea in your mind, you already have a system in place, whether you know it or not. So do you have a vision of how you want to run things? Then have a preliminary outline. And just to talk about the first step, because you mentioned it, obviously. And that's half the battle, is taking the first step and having the courage to do it. And you're right. Once you get through that hurdle of, taking the first step, then you got to go through the hardships, right? You got to go through the obstacles, the roller coaster, I like to call it. Sink or swim, right? Sink or swim. And the key is to keep on swimming. All right. So a couple of other things I wanted to just kind of chat about. So let's just go back to your podcast real quick. So tell us a little bit how, we can follow you or listen to your podcast. When do you air it? How can we, we tune in and, what to expect?
So our channel is on both Facebook and on YouTube under Destination Success. And I've been a little lackadaisical about the weekly things. We're going to get back started with the weekly, and some of it's just a nugget from me. Sometimes I'm interviewing local business people. Sometimes I'm interviewing national business people, because, as I mentioned earlier, with my relationship with that national coaching company, I bring on some of my friends from all over the country, and we just go and we just talk like we did today. Like, there was an outline, but we shot that one a shotgun. There's holes all over it, but like, we just go into something and we start talking, like, and I always ask them, like, so what lesson did you learn? Like, what was one of the lessons that was hard? Because everyone's lessons are different, and again, it's always hearing it in a different voice at a different time, and it to hear it resonate. I get things all the time just from listening, like I said, to YouTube and some of the motivational guys and some of the the people in business. But that's what it's about. I want to help people just understand, and you don't have to be in business to listen to this. You should have goals in your personal life, whether you're in business or not. And most people are like, oh, no, you should just have a direction. Sitting out in the ocean with a paddle and sitting on a life raft is going to get you nowhere. You know what I mean? Like, you have to have a direction of where you want to go. Now, we, as in the business community, we always say we should have big, huge goals. And then, if you shoot and miss, it comes in low. It's still a great end, but you should do it personally. Like, put some things down, say, hey, this is where I want to be next year. This is what I want to do next year. And it can't be just in business. You have to have equilibrium between spiritual, business, family, fitness, fun. You have to have all the categories. We do it at home with Kim and I. We plan out that we're going to go on 4 or 5 trips, every year. Well, you say that and you're like, wow, he must have a lot of money. I didn't say how long the trips are. We do long weekends here and there. You know what I mean? Like, we do 1 week, for my birthday, we do a week for her birthday. Then we take 4 or 5 weekend trips. And then in the summer, we try to take 1 or 2 weeks to do like a vacation. But schedule that out, like, have it down on paper. The second biggest thing that we don't do and communicate with each other is date night. Especially for entrepreneurs, because we get so tunnel vision that we forget, we take advantage that they're going to be there and stay there. And you got to schedule date nights so that you get that one-on-one time. And when you do that, you take this thing, you put it down.
Thank you.
You put it in a drawer. You do whatever you got to do. It's only an hour or two.
That's
you know what I mean? Like, just if it's that much of an emergency, your system sucks. Okay, let me just tell you that right now. Like, you need to rework that system first.
There's a realness coming out.
But the point is, you know what I mean? Like, put it down and spend eye-to-eye contact. Be in the presence of everyone. And you don't have to be a business owner to be that way. We see it all the time. And Jen, you go out to dinner and everybody's like this.
I hate it.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm like,
I hate it.
You're spending $100 or $150 between the two of you eat dinner, and you haven't said 2 words to each other.
They're on their cell phones.
Yeah,
I see it often. But it's good advice, Sherm. It's very good advice. Like, not only are you a business coach, you're a relationship coach for small business owners.
I'm still working on the relationship.
No, but for small business owners, there's a difference, because being an entrepreneur and owning a small business, it consumes you. And if you want to be successful, you have to put the time in. So where you have to, take away time from other things. But you're right. You make a good point.
I disagree with taking away time. What I agree with is scheduling. You schedule everything. You're not taking time away. You schedule that this is a priority. You schedule that this is a priority. And you schedule this is a priority. We waste so much time in 24 hours, like, as people. We do. I mean, think about how much you're on Facebook or TikTok, or watching, sitting there and streaming your local favorite thing for 3 hours. Like, just schedule what's important. I'm not saying you can't watch TV. I'm not saying you can't, just sit on a couch and kind of like, meditate in your way, whether it is watching soaps or whatever that is. But, like, schedule the things that are important first, then go to all the things that aren't so important. Like, if you waste an hour watching the latest version of something on any one of the streaming channels, like, it's not a big deal, because you scheduled the one-on-one time with your significant other or your children or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like,
even friends.
Friends time, same thing. Make sure you're going out hanging with your friends. Like, don't give things up. Schedule it appropriate. And sometimes you can multitask that, where you're going out with your friends and your significant other, and it happens to be in the same place where that there's going to be somebody there that you want to do business with. So, I mean, who doesn't like to do business with people they know, love, and want to, like that? So you're there and go, wow, we all have something in common. And then bam, you got the business. Like, you can sometimes do multiple things in one trip, but again, make sure you spend that one-on-one time with your kids and your significant other, because without them, why are you doing this? Why are you killing yourself, 14 hours a day? You know what I mean? Like, so you can what? So you can be by yourself with a whole stack of money, in the hearse. That they say, I forget the one motivation speakers, I've never seen a U-Haul behind a hearse. So what's the sense in having all that money if you're not going to share it with the people you love? So, again, it's just, it's my little soapbox, because I did fall victim to it, but then one of my old girlfriends was like, you need to, and then my coach said it, and I was like, you know what, you're right. Like, I have to start scheduling everything that's important in my life. Make sure that I'm scheduling it. And it's hard for me, because I'm not a scheduler. I'm really not. I promise you that's not easy, but I do it I keep working on it every day to make it better so that I'm making sure that I schedule, wife time now and friends time and she needs friends time. Like everybody needs friends time. You can't just absorb all the free time. So
right. No, and that's good
Pronto
advice.
time.
And
yeah, Pronto time. I love this. I could say 54 minutes. I was like, oh God, there's no way we're stopping at this time.
Well, I want to know how long are your podcasts? Go over now.
We try to stay to 30 minutes, but it's just two of us and we normally script it. And then what we'll do is we'll stop it and then do another. So yeah, so we don't always do them live. We normally record them and then what we'll do is we'll stop on that topic and then start another. If we're really hot on our
really hot topics.
Yeah, like I'll stop it and I'll start it. I'm like, oh, I can get 2 for 1 now. So
yeah,
but yeah.
Sure, I have a question for you.
Sure, no, absolutely, man.
What's your number one motivational speaker? Like, who do you really appreciate and kind of follow?
I'm going to tell you, and who really, there's 2 guys that really get me. One is Wes, and Wes is an old preacher who had went through some really hard times, and he's got a lot of great little one-liners that like get you to think.
Right.
And the other is David Goggins. Like if you are really feeling sorry about yourself, just throw that on for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I promise you're ready to jump off the building after the 20. Because here's another person, same thing. He was 150 pounds overweight before he joined the Navy. And then it took him 3 times to go through SEAL training. Like just another one, like his perseverance. Like he's one of those things like, and so just so you know, because I'm 3rd generation Navy, they asked me to be very, very, very careful. But if you are going to listen to David Goggins, this is definitely this is what happens when that happens. Because I don't think he can go into. I don't think he says 3 words and then he's not cussing. But I did a really good job today.
Listen, we're not done yet. We got 3 minutes, Sherm. All right, 3 minutes.
But my point is like, it's just like, and here's what I'm going to tell you to do. Here's the best thing to do. There's a lot of great guys like McGonaghy. He has a 13. He did Texas's commencement speech, and it's about an hour and a half long. And he goes into the 13 things of why. And he's like, I don't know why 13 gets such a bad number. I think it's a great number. Like there's all kinds of people. If you go on YouTube and you just it's called motivational something. It'll come right up as soon as you type in motivational. There's a category where they have so many people. They have Arnold Schwarzenegger. They have the Mamba. There's tons of people that, and I tell all my staff, all my all my managers, past and present. I'm like, look, just get on there and find something you click with. I'm not telling you what I like, you're going to like, but here's where you start. Just go on there. And then when you do that, they're going to give you 1,000 recommendations on the side to hear something. You know what I mean? Like, and you just click through until something resonates. I have probably 33 that I've saved in my box and I know exactly what ones I need to listen to. Like when I'm feeling down or whatever, Goggins is the first one. I'm just like, when I'm feeling sorry for myself that, I have such, everything's going the wrong way today.
Oh, poor me.
Poor Sherm. And, you're like, but we all go through it. I'm a human like everybody else is.
Right,
and you get those emotions,
right.
Maybe my eating wasn't good, or maybe I stopped working out. Like I know I'm supposed to be doing every day, and I just like, boop, or maybe it's just like how, like I'm talking to everyone, but no one's really listening to me. And then I'll put on a Wes, and I'm like, because he's kind of preacher-ish when he talks, the way he talks, but he says a lot of good one-liners, or he has good experience where he's doing things very similar to what I was doing or I am doing, and it's like, ooh, that's going to work. And I'll stop walking or whatever it is, and I'll get on my phone and I'll type, okay, this is how we're going to say it, and boom, like you just have to find something that clicks with you.
Well,
I can't give you an answer.
Well, listen, I thought that was a pretty good answer, but now, to the final question, which may be the same answer. So we always ask our guests at the end of our interview this traditional question, which could be the same answer, or you can name someone different. If you could chat with anyone from the past or present on a podcast, who would it be and why? So I feel like it could be the same or it could be somebody different.
It's going to be different because, when you sent me that question, to like, let me know that's not easy, like it's very difficult, but it's easy. I want to say, like, we overthink things, and really the answer is my grandfather. He was hugely instrumental in me wanting and staying and doing small business. He started a construction company when he first came to America, and he changed his last name to Porter because it was the Italians in construction, not Polish kids, and blah blah blah. But he always would tell me the right thing. You know what I mean? Like, even if I didn't ask him the right question, he answered it the right way. Like, he knew what I was going at, and he always had the right thing. And I think about, when I make a lot of decisions, I always think about, like, what would he say or what would he do? Like, in those things, like, what if I were to ask him a question right now, what would his answer be? And, and it always came back to, like, what's right for you in the community. Like, that's really his answers. Like, so if you do this, how does it impact you, your family, and your community? And, that's really a good answer. And I would love to see him on a video screen. I mean, he passed away years ago before all this was happening. He would just, like, if I could bring him back right this second and he knew nothing about this, he would be looking around like, what's this thing up here? And it would be awesome. Yeah,
and that's a good one. I love that answer.
So,
I love that answer because he also has been someone that you always refer back to.
I mean, the easy answer is like Arnold Schwarzenegger or
No.
somebody like that. I love Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Right.
I started with him when I was 10, working out. My dad handed me this thing and said, "This is how you're going to play baseball. Here you go. Start doing these workouts." And then he came, from a bodybuilder to, like, how he is today. Like, he's come a long way too. But but authentically, it's my grandfather. Really,
but you're making your grandfather proud. Like,
yeah, you are.
He made all of us proud. You know what I mean? Like, he was a great dude. He was a great dude, and I'm glad. And my uncle, who passed away not long ago, used to call me once a month and just tell me how good I was doing. And I just would, like, I hear that. Like, my Aunt Judy, Aunt Judy, she comes into the restaurant with us, but she was like, yeah, he would be so proud of you right now. And it's just, it's nice. It's nice to know that, you're doing the right, it's so hard. You do so much and you never know if all your decisions are actually good ones. You know what I mean? That know that when you see other people and say, hey, like, when you read the line, it keeps going underneath here that this is who Sherm is. You're like, wow. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I did make some pretty good decisions in my life,
Right. And here's the thing, you always are learning.
Yeah.
And that's something that you continue to teach others that you meet and that seek you out, for advice. And you are always learning, and you're passing your knowledge and advice to others. And we appreciate what you're doing in our community.
Absolutely.
I see a future in politics, probably. And just to touch on that, I do see that you would make an incredible community leader because you're well-rounded, but you're willing to continue to learn. And I think that's what makes you special, Sherm, is that you're open to learning. Yes, you say, oh, I might be stubborn. No, I think you have the ability to continue to be open-minded and continue to learn while you're giving your knowledge and advice to others and sharing your experiences with others to help them learn and grow. And I think that's what makes you special. So thank you for continuing to be an example in our community and relatable. And that's the best way to describe Sherm. He's relatable.
And he doesn't curse.
Well, hold on now. Let's not go too far with that.
Hear him curse.
We're going to get some of the YouTube comments up here right now. I know he does.
Go check out Destination Success Podcast if you want to hear more about Sherm. And obviously, if you want to hear him really get to the nitty gritty, check out his podcast. But more importantly, check out his book. Go to Amazon and purchase his book. Support small businesses. Support Sherm's Catering. Follow Sherm. It's at m.sherm_Porter on Instagram or Sherm's Catering. Check out Sherm's Catering. It's one of my favorite businesses to support. I send everybody to Sherm's Catering because he accommodates everyone. I mean, he just provided desserts for a friend of mine who just got married yesterday.
Wow.
The desserts were delicious, by the way. The
Thank you.
blueberry cheesecake little cup of dessert. Oh my God, it was delicious. They had blueberry cheesecake, strawberry shortcake, and then like a little tiny cup. You just put,
Wow.
a couple of spoonfuls. You just want a little
That's
dessert
nice.
just to kind of complete the meal. Phenomenal. But he offers the
But that
wide.
was a recognition from you because
Yeah.
she did Kim's makeup for
Yeah.
our wedding, which was New Year's Eve. So
Yes.
you know,
Well, of course, I'm always, suggesting
yeah,
people to check
absolutely.
you out because I feel that you can accommodate everyone and
We
any
try.
any
We
type
try.
of event or party. You may want some finger foods or you want something elaborate, and that's what I love about Sherm's Catering. The food is top notch. I get my meal preps are from Sherm.
Really?
So I get meal prep. So I have a very strict diet. So Sherm helps me out with that.
I don't know how she does it. Honestly, I know what we put in that box for her. I don't know. She's a strong woman. That's all she eats. I'm gonna tell you right now.
I eat. Don't get me wrong.
She does eat, but I know, and
I'm just very
her will and determination is why she looks as good as she does. Because I look at her and go, wow.
I'm very disappointed.
It comes back to small businesses,
right?
Will and determination, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sherm, thank you so much for.
No, thank you guys for having me on.
Providing us your knowledge, your advice, and sharing with all of our viewers and listeners. I'm sure they've learned something today, but if anything, they've gained another resource. As such
reach out. I'm here to help everybody. Reach out. Like I'll do what I can. I pass people along. I have people ask me certain questions about. Vincenzo and I just had a conversation the other day about some resources. It's just about helping other people make sure. That you're doing it as best as you possibly can. That's all it's about. Simple little things.
We appreciate you. Sherm,
thank you.
You stay well, and I'm sure I'll see you soon.
Yes, ma'am. We'll be there. We're always there at least once or twice a month hanging out, having dinner. So
yes, we'll see you at the restaurant. Sherm, you have a great day.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wasn't he great?
Yeah.
Wasn't he phenomenal?
He's a really likable guy.
Right. Relatable.
Relatable.
And that's what I love most about him. He's authentic. He's relatable. He's honest.
Right.
I mean, and so generous. I mean, there has been so many occasions throughout the years that I've reached out to Sherm, whether it was, even just obviously advice, but hey, Sherm, I need help. He's like, what do you need? He shows up. He's like, what do you need? I'm there to help you. Like physically, he's showing up. Like, what can I do to help you? Like, I remember, I needed help in my kitchen at the bistro, and Sherm was the first and only person that said, I'm here. He showed up ready with the chef coat to get in that kitchen to help.
Wow.
That's his character. He's not afraid to roll up his sleeves and help anyone that asks. And that's that. I mean, I think you call that the heart of a servant. And that's a beautiful thing. So Sherm, thank you for, what you do in our community.
Yep.
We need more people like you out there. That's for sure. Well, listen, Randy, we went over time.
Yeah, I think we have to increase the time because when we have
we went over time, but it's good, but it's fun.
Yeah, like it goes
right. Time flies when you're having fun, and we truly enjoy everyone that tuned in and stayed with us over the hour. But we're always learning, and that's the best part about what we do here at Pronto is that we provide you with knowledge, resources, connections. But it's that advice and the learning aspect and element that we are able to connect with so many influential people and leaders throughout our community. And we feel lucky, right? We feel lucky. So, well, anyway, thank you for tuning in and thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for our next episode. If you have not yet, you can check us out on Instagram. We have our personal accounts at Cenza, Cenza, and at Randy J. Curry on Instagram. But we have our Pronto podcast Instagram page now that is up. So definitely go follow. Stay tuned for our next episode and we will see you soon.
And when website to come.
That's right. Stay tuned for the website. All right.
Thank you.
Pronto, Randy.
Pronto, Vincenzo.